Hello everyone, my name is Malik Farhan. I am a student of Hena School, Orangi campus. Today I am talking about an interesting topic. My topic is air, birthing life into language. Today I will discuss this topic with Maya. We will talk about how air give life to language and combination. So let's go.
Hi, what's
Hi.
going on?
Hello Maya, how are you?
Hey there. Good to hear from you.
Okay.
What's up with your dad?
Okay, Maya, my name is Malik Farhan AI Wala. Okay, my question is what is AR?
Go ahead, ask away. What's your question?
Okay, what is AR?
Air is basically the invisible mix of gases that surround Earth and makes breathing possible. Oxygen's in there. That's what keeps us alive. There's nitrogen too, most of it actually. Plus, smaller amounts of argon, carbon dioxide, and other gases. Air's pretty important for a lot of things like weather, keeping us warm, and helping plants grow. It's everywhere, all around us.
Okay, why is AR important to life? Sorry, for life.
It's mm, air is important for life because, well, we need it to breathe. Our bodies use the oxygen in the air to turn the food we eat into energy. Without air, we couldn't do, well, pretty much anything. Plants need carbon dioxide from air too. They use it with sunlight to grow and make food. Plus, air helps regulate the Earth's temperature, protecting all living things from extreme heat or cold. It's basically the whole foundation for nearly all life on the planet.
Okay, can humans live life without air?
No, women can't live without air any more than anyone else can. Air is essential for everyone men, women, children, everyone. We all need oxygen from the air to survive. Without air, people can only survive for a very short time, like minutes, before they would need medical attention to stay alive.
Okay, how do we birth
How do we
air?
start a new life?
Okay, what happens when we breathe in air?
When we breathe in air, it travels through your nose or mouth, down your windpipe, and into your lungs. There, the oxygen from the air passes into your bloodstream. Your blood carries that oxygen all around your body to every single cell. Those cells use the oxygen to create energy and then release carbon dioxide as a waste product. Then you breathe the carbon dioxide back out when you exhale. It's a pretty amazing cycle that happens automatically without us even thinking about it.
Okay, how do we birth air?
I didn't quite catch that. Could you repeat what you were saying about starting something new?
Okay, how does air help our body?
Air helps our bodies in tons of ways. The oxygen from the air we breathe gets into our blood and travels all over, providing energy for pretty much everything we do. Thinking, moving, digesting food, it all needs oxygen. Plus, our cells release carbon dioxide as waste, and air helps get rid of that when we breathe out. So, really, air keeps us alive and functioning.
Okay, why do we need air to speak?
Good question. When you speak, air from your lungs goes through your voice box. That's where your vocal cords are. These cords vibrate as the air passes over them, and that's what creates sound. Without air, your vocal cords can't vibrate, so no sound would come out when you try to talk. Air is totally necessary for creating the sounds we use to communicate.
Okay, Maya. How does air help in making sound?
Like I was just saying, air is essential for making sound. When you talk or sing, you push air from your lungs through your vocal cords, which vibrate and create sound waves. If you try to talk without any air in your lungs, like if you're holding your breath, no sound comes out because there's nothing to make your vocal cords vibrate. So, air provides the power to make that vibration happen.
Okay, can we talk without air?
You mean, can we live without air? No, we absolutely can. Air provides the oxygen we need to survive. Without oxygen, our bodies can't function and we would quickly become unconscious and eventually die. Air is pretty fundamental to being alive.
Okay, how does breathing affect our voice?
Breathing is actually the engine behind your voice. The air you breathe is what powers your vocal cords to vibrate and make sound. More air means you can often speak louder or longer. Proper breathing also helps control the tone and stability of your voice too. You're out of breath, it's harder to control how you speak, right? It's all connected. Breath control equals voice control.
Okay, what is the role of language in breathing?
I think you might mean what's the role of language in breathing? The two things are actually separate though. Language is about communication through words, and breathing is just our body taking in air. I'm not sure if there's a connection there I'm missing. Perhaps you could try rewording your question.
Okay, my next question: how does air move when we speak?
When you speak, air moves from your lungs up through your throat and mouth. As it moves past your vocal cords, they vibrate and create the sound of your voice. Your tongue, teeth, and lips then shape that sound into words. Imagine air pushing through your throat and into your mouth to create the different sounds you make. That's how language gets produced.
Okay, why does our voice change when we shout?
When we speak louder, we generally force more air out of our lungs. That increased airflow makes our vocal cords vibrate more intensely, which changes the quality of our voice to make it louder. Plus, when you're projecting your voice for louder speaking, you often engage muscles in your chest, throat, and mouth differently, which all adds up to a change in how your voice sounds.
Okay, how does air help in clear speech?
Air helps in clear speech because consistent airflow provides a steady foundation for your voice. You need controlled airflow to properly form words. Moving air consistently through your vocal cords, mouth, and lips allows for crisp sounds and distinct speech. If you're struggling for breath or your airflow's choppy, your speech will sound unclear or rushed.
Okay, what happens to speech when birthing is weak?
That I think you mean what happens to speech when breathing is weak. If your breathing is weak or you don't have enough airflow, it makes speaking really difficult. Your voice becomes quiet and breathy. Words might get cut off mid sentence or they can become a little unclear. Speech needs airflow to be strong and consistent. So, any weakness in breathing directly translates to weak and shaky sounding speech.
Okay, how do signature use air?
I think you mean singers. How do singers use air? Singers rely on breath control to create different sounds, volumes, and styles in their singing. They use consistent airflow to hold notes, change pitch, and create vocal power. Good breath support means they can control how quickly or slowly they release air, making their voice sound clear and strong instead of breathy or strained. It's really like breath control is the engine behind everything singers do.
Okay, why is breathing control important?
Um, Breathing control is super important because it affects so many things beyond just singing. Good breath control gives you more energy, helps with posture, keeps you calm when stressed, and boosts athletic performance. For speaking, it gives you projection and clarity. For singers, it's the foundation of their entire sound. Basically, solid breath control affects how confident, healthy, and expressive you are in almost everything you do.
Okay, how does air help in pronunciation?
I think you mean how does air help with congestion? When your nose gets clogged up with congestion, it's harder for air to move through your nose and throat. Air that you force through congestion can feel tight or blocked and make it hard to breathe, basically slowing your speech. When your airways are clear, air moves freely, and makes much easier, clearer speech.
Okay, what is the connection between air and language?
Actually, there's a really fascinating connection. Language wouldn't exist without air. Sound is created by air passing through the vocal cords and mouth. Without air, we produce speech sounds. Medium through which language is expressed. Without it, there'd be nothing to form words or sounds.
Okay,
It's the breathing patterns that affect rhythm.
okay,
Is there
Maya.
anything else I can help you with today?
Okay, Maya. How did
All right,
early humans
sounds good.
use air to
Talk.
speak?
We use air to speak because it's the energy behind sound. Air travels from your lungs up to your voice box, past your vocal cords, making them vibrate. Then your mouth, tongue, and teeth shape that vibration into the words we understand. Without that airflow, your vocal cords wouldn't vibrate and nothing would come out. Air is the power source for all speech.
Okay, did language start with sound and air?
That's a really interesting question. Most researchers actually think language likely developed from more primitive forms of communication before music or song, things like gestures and simple vocalizations. But many believe early forms of language probably sounded pretty song like, with rhythm and tonal changes being really important. Since you need air to create song or language, though, in that sense, both definitely rely on breath and airflow from the start.
Okay, how does air help in comprehension?
I think you mean how does air help in communication? Air is fundamental for communication because it carries sounds. When we talk, air carries sound waves from our mouths to others' ears so they can hear us. Without air moving and vibrating, sound can't travel and we wouldn't be able to communicate at all. No talking, no singing, no language. It's essential for any form of vocal communication.
Okay, why is breathing important while talking?
Breathing is huge when talking. It's not just that you need air to make sound, it's about control. Consistent airflow lets you speak clearly, keep going without gasping, and change your tone. If your breathing's all over the place, your speech gets choppy, quiet, or shaky. Controlled breathing supports projection, pace, and vocal variety, making you a much more understandable and effective speaker.
Okay, how does fast breathing affect speech?
Fast breathing can make your speech really choppy and rushed. When you're breathing quickly, you don't have good control over your airflow, so you end up running words together or cutting them off. Can sound a bit panicked or anxious too. Controlled breathing gives you more pace and clear speech, while rush breathing can make it hard to follow what you're saying.
Okay, how does calm breathing help speaking?
Calm breathing, calm, steady breathing is really helpful because it lets your lungs fill up fully. Deep, controlled breaths provide more sustained airflow that keeps your speech clear, steady, and easier to listen to. When you breathe calmly, you have more control over your breath and you can prevent yourself from running out of air mid sentence. gives your voice stability and improves your ability to project clearly without straining.
Okay, can air affect motions while speaking?
Yeah, absolutely. So they are talented related 11 by airflow affects movement while when you're using good breath support, it's easier to move your diaphragm and use your core muscles. That gives you more power and control while you speak, so you can gesture more naturally or even move around while talking without running out of breath or losing clarity. The movement of your breath and body can also match what you're saying for emphasis. It can connect meaning and expression together.
Okay. Okay, Maya, my next question: how does air help in storytelling?
When telling stories, air helps build your rhythm and flow. Controlled breathing lets you pace your delivery, speed up for excitement, slow down for suspense. Varying your airflow brings life to characters and scenes, making voices distinctive and dialogue more believable. Good breath control keeps you from rushing through important details off at the end, giving your stories impact and keeping listeners hooked.
Okay, what role does air play in public speaking?
Air is huge in public speaking. Good breathing lets you project so everyone can hear you clearly without yelling. Control over your airflow lets you slow down for important points, pause for emphasis, and vary your tone so you sound confident and engaged. Solid breathing makes you less shaky, controls your nerves, and helps you connect with your audience rather than worrying about running out of air mid sentence.
Okay, how does air help teachers explain better?
I think you meant air. Air helps teachers explain better because consistent breath control improves their projection, their voice reaches everyone in the room clearly, pauses for breath create natural rhythm, and allow students time to process information. When a teacher can breathe normally, they also look more calm and confident, which makes people more likely to trust what they're hearing. Speech comes control.
Okay, how does air affect daily conversations?
I think you mean conversations, how to care about daily conversations. If so, it's about really listening to what people say, being curious, and making their thoughts and feelings. Asking open ended questions, things that can't be answered with just yes or no, can help conversations flow naturally. It's about creating a safe space where people feel comfortable being authentic and connecting on a deeper level.
Okay, can good breathing improve language skills?
I'm not sure what you mean by board operating. Could you clarify? Is there something specific you're referring to that uses air or relates to communication somehow?
Okay, how does air help children learn to speak?
Um, I'm not quite sure what AR refers to here, augmented reality or something else. If you could clarify what you're asking about, I'd be happy to help. I know you've been asking a lot about AIR's role in speech, though.
Okay, why is air important in different languages?
Mm. You probably mean why is air important to different languages? Air is essential for speaking all languages. No matter what language you use, English, Spanish, Chinese, anything, you need airflow from your lungs through your vocal cords to create the sounds that make up speech. Different languages have different sound patterns, but they all depend on properly shaped airflow.
Okay, how does air create different sounds?
Are you asking how the air helps create different sounds, or do you mean augmented reality? Because I'm not sure what AR is referring to here. If you mean air, it's actually the shape of your mouth, tongue, and lips that create the variations, but air makes it all possible.
Okay. What happens to voice when air is polluted?
I'm sorry, I'm not quite catching what you're asking. Could you maybe say that again? I'm having trouble understanding what happens to your voice when air. What was the rest of that question?
Okay, what happens to voice when air is polluted?
When air is polluted, it can really impact your voice and breathing. Polluted air irritates your throat and lungs, like breathing in smoke or smog. That causes inflammation, making it hard to breathe deeply, which weakens your airflow. You could experience things like coughing, hoarseness, or shortness of breath, all of which make speaking clearly and comfortably harder. Long term exposure can even cause more serious vocal issues.
Okay, how does clean air help our voice?
Um, I'm not following. Did you mean clean air? Mm. Clean air is really important for our voices. It helps us breathe easily so our vocal cords can vibrate properly. Pollutants can irritate the throat and make speech difficult, so clean air means better control, less strain, and clearer sound overall. Good quality air benefits vocal health a lot.
Okay, how does air contact life and language?
Uh, I think you mean how to share contact and life through language. Basically, we use language to connect with people. We share stories about our lives, ask questions to get to know someone, express feelings, and build relationships through conversation. Strong communication, honest, thoughtful, and truly listening is how we make those deep connections. It's about seeing each other's stories and experiences through the words you share.
Okay, why can air be glide in the soul of language?
Hmm. I'm not quite sure I understand. Could you rephrase that? Something about air being like in the show of language? I'm having trouble figuring out what you mean.
Okay, Maya. Thank you very much, Maya, for being part of this decision. This conversation helped you understand how air breathing life into language. So, thank you very much, Maya.
You're so welcome. It's been a really interesting conversation, exploring all the ways air connects to language and speech. Thanks for teaching me too, Maya. Talk soon.
Okay, Maya. Thank you very much. Bye, bye.
Bye.